Hey everybody, welcome back to Smarketing CONNECT's video podcast. I'm Tom Libby, your host and one of the co-founders here of Smarketing CONNECT. I'm here today with one of our, I think one of our older Smarketing CONNECT members, Jeannine. I think you've been with us probably close to day one, actually, now that I think of it. But today I'm here with Jeannine O'Neill, and I'm gonna kind of let Jeannine jump right into it and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, Jeannine.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. So like Tom said, my name's Jeannine. My business is JO Social Branding, and I am an email marketing strategist. So what I do is I help businesses large and small, primarily in the B2C field and realm, learn how to attract and engage and communicate with their audiences using email marketing and email marketing tools and best practices, really putting their brand forward and understanding how to properly communicate, not to over communicate, which I think a lot of people kind of get nervous when they hear email marketing, and then really utilizing those tools to generate leads and sales.
Interesting. And how long have you been doing that with your current company?
So officially, I've been doing it since 2013. So we are coming up on 7 years, but I have been freelancing online marketing services since 2009.
Wow. All right. So you're not a rookie at this.
No, I'm not.
Awesome. So, so that being said, so give us an idea of what kind of companies, size companies. Give us who do you typically work with?
Typically it's small to mid-sized businesses, but lately it's been quite interesting. I'm attracting more of like the entrepreneurs, the solopreneurs, the side hustlers, and as we're recording right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I think it's kind of interesting that people have either lost income or lost part of their income in the revenue stream, or it's like the push that they needed to finally take that passion project and convert it to a career, something that they've always wanted to do, whether they have the time or the energy or whatever it may be. But it's really exciting to be able to offer and help those people, because at one point I was that person. So when I was in college, graduated, got a position in corporate, and was freelancing marketing services. This was 2009, and we were in a recession then. So when I was working for corporate, I started out in marketing and was an intern, and then got transferred to the training department. So I started freelancing services as a way to just keep my portfolio up to date, and had been doing that for 5 years or so before I officially launched. So I really get these types of people that they're got their career, and then they're trying to like launch this other thing that's like their passion project, and they're really passionate and have a lot of energy and bring it to that to the table. So it's exciting to help them.
Very cool. Very cool. That being said, considering that model for you is changing, you're helping even smaller people than small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get in a position to advise them, or in your opinion, do you have a tool that you think all of these people should be using at this point? And give us an idea of why.
Well, I'm going to go with email marketing.
Yeah.
And that's not because like I want the business, but it's because the best piece of advice given to me when I officially launched my business was to start building my list. And it was from a friend who was in the industry, and at that point in time, I had been invited by a local college, a community college, to start teaching. So Facebook 101, Twitter 101, it was like those night education classes. And I had 3 hours to capture the people's attention and interest, and then they were on their way. So in order to continue to do business or kind of bring them along for the journey, I needed to find a way to retain that contact information and build a relationship. So I literally started collecting contacts just by handing a piece of paper around and saying, hey, if you want the PowerPoint presentation and the notes from tonight's presentation, join my list. And then quickly I was like, okay, now I need to do email marketing. So what's really cool from that is like, as my career started to unfold and I started speaking more, I became affiliated with Constant Contact, was going out and speaking on behalf of them. I continued to communicate through email marketing, and I'd have people come to me 3 or 4 years later and say, hey, I wasn't ready for you then, or I'm in a new position, I'm in a new company, I've just been on your list and seeing all the things that you share, and now I'm ready to do business. So it was I didn't have to do too much like word of mouth marketing, because I was like harvesting that relationship through my email.
Now, I heard you mention constant contact, but in your opinion, does it matter which platform they use, or as long as they use something for their email marketing, that's really the most important part?
As long as it's something, I mean, I prefer them. I've used them since the very beginning, but there are a lot of other great tools out there, and a lot of them sync up nicely with websites and social media as well.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this then. That being said, I know that you do email marketing, right? So rather than just say simply email marketing, what are business owners typically challenged with when they bring you in? Is it simply, I don't know how to do it and I need your help? Or is it an abundance of different versions of why they bring you in?
You know, it's interesting. It's a lot of not knowing how to communicate or what to say or when to say it, what tools to use. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I had a realtor team come to me, and they had been established for a while, and they never needed to do too much marketing because it was word of mouth.
Yeah.
And then things started to dry up. The leads weren't coming in. People forgot that they were in business, and they're like, I need to get on social media right now. I need to, and they expected launch into social media and propel themselves forward and have tons of clients and leads come their way. And that's not really how things work. I definitely did get them on social media, but my tactic for them was email marketing, taking their current list of leads of people that they've already sold houses to, who've bought houses from other realtors in the area. And they didn't even have a listing at that point. So what we ended up doing was just providing information about home improvements, home repairs, things going on in the community. And slowly, as they continued to engage with their audience through their list, people started remembering about them. And then they sold like 40 listings over like a 3 or 4 month period. So it was like down the line, it took them to get to that point, but being able to communicate with their audience. So I think that, I go into the email marketing realm because it's just easier to control with the algorithm and knowing what to say and when to say it. But communication's a tough one for them, and figuring out what's the right thing to say and when to hit the message home.
So it's not always just about literally hitting the send button on an email. It's all the stuff that goes into writing that email, crafting whatever the message is, and making sure that it's the right message at the right time to the right people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. So in this particular question, I like it. It's a little different, right? Because all of us in our world, we work with relatively close to the same type of people in the environments and the sizes and stuff. But yet we get asked all the time about our advice from somebody else. Like an example, like I get all the time, do I have a social media expert that I would recommend? Because that's not me. I'm not a social media expert, and vice versa. But so this question here is more geared toward, when they ask you these questions, what type of advice do you give them, aside from just saying, yes, I know a person, call Tom, or call, Bob or whatever, or Mary, rather than, is there anything that you ask them or talk them through when they're looking at hiring a sales and marketing professional, agency or consultant or something like that? How do you talk to them about those things?
I would say it's really about understanding what you want out of the relationship. And sometimes that's hard because the client doesn't know.
Very true.
Marketing, but they don't know what, what tools are. But I think it's very important when the client knows at least something. Like, I'm always trying to pull the goals out of them. Like, what do you need more of? What's your pain point? Where do you want to be? And then I can kind of piece it together. So if they're meeting an agency or a marketing professional, I think the best thing is to do a little bit of homework and understand what you're looking for, and then asking questions and trying to pull it out of them. And it's tough because they don't know what they don't know. But I also think it's important because I've just seen it happen over and over again in the online marketing world. There's a lot of people that position themselves as experts, and they may not necessarily be an expert. It's very easy to, there's a low barrier to entry with websites and social media, and everybody can say that they are. But then when it comes down to the tactics and the strategies and all those types of things, that's where the issues start to arise. So I would say really have a good conversation with whoever you want to work with, and just really try and dig as deep as you can with them.
Good, very good advice. And don't even get me started on the word expert to begin with, because I could probably do another one of these whole sessions on why I don't like using the word expert, even for myself, who has been in, sales consulting for a long time. And I
Mhm.
still prefer not to be called that. I am a sales professional. I'm okay with that. But the word expert to me sometimes gets me off on a tangent that, that, that we don't usually like. Anyway, so, all right, this is kind of the part of the podcast where I like to try to give us a little comedy, make joke around a little bit, make everybody realize that we're not all stuck up and snobbish about sales and marketing, that we can be a little human as well. So I love asking this question. It's one of my favorite questions to ask, Jeannine. So just let us know if you could be a superhero, any superhero you wanted, which one would it be and why?
Well, this one really threw me off because
Half
I
the reason I do it.
exactly. I don't know superheroes, and that's not kind of like one of the things that I grew up on or really watched. So I actually had to kind of pull my audience on this one, which led to a huge superhero debate on my personal Facebook, which was quite interesting. I learned a lot about my friends and family on this one. So I had originally just thought Wonder Woman because that's the one that had come to mind, but there was two that came up in the conversation, which is interesting to hear how my family and friends view me. But it was Wonder Woman and it was Captain Marvel from,
Okay.
and they're very similar. Based off of that, I did do a little research. So, stamina and agility and durability and utilizing their senses. And I understand now. And I have this unique ability. I've always kind of had this, that I can kind of project ahead. I can look and see where a business is or where an industry is. And if there's a trend or a fad, I can see if it's going to work or not. And that's really something that I've been able to help my clients with. And if you go to my LinkedIn, I actually have it as kind of a catchphrase as my superpower is being able to create campaigns that convert, because that's how I wanted to brand and position myself. But I've always been able to have that ability to kind of see forward and then adjust as necessary. So I guess I'm a combination. I'm making up my own superhero. I'm
Wonder
Wonder
Marvel.
Woman and Captain Marvel.
All right. Well, that's good. I like that. All right. So this part here is we give you an opportunity to kind of showcase somebody else, somebody that you've worked with in the past, or somebody that you think is just really good at what they do, and you think might actually even be a good guest on this podcast. Give you an opportunity to basically pay it forward, and anybody watching this, obviously you're going to give somebody a shout out, and they might go look them up. So do you have anybody that you either used a lot or worked with a lot that you think would be a good guest here?
Yeah, I do. So her name is Julia Campbell. And when I officially started going into transitioning from freelance to full time, she was in my area a lot. So the north of Boston area, and she was teaching about social media marketing. And we partnered together for a while. And then, and she kind of, I guess, fostered me in a way. So when I said the best piece of advice given to me about growing my list, that came from Julia.
Okay.
She specializes more in nonprofit, so helping those types of organizations really understand their brand, understand their audience. She talks a lot about storytelling, but she's done a fantastic job of taking her business and really propelling it forward. So she's traveling across the United States, I think even internationally, teaching and speaking on social media best practices, especially when it comes to nonprofits. So I think, we all have an audience that we're speaking to, and we're all trying to sell something. So even though nonprofits aren't really in sales, they do need social media and marketing tools. And I always find it interesting to hear and see what Julia's doing and what she has to say. So I would say my friend Julia.
Perfect. Well, if Julia, if you're watching, we're probably going to be reaching out to you soon. So, awesome. So the last slide we have here for you, Jeannine, this is all your contact information. As you can see, everybody, I'm not going to read it. You can see that it's there. Jeannine's website is on the page, her email. This is all stuff that comes right from your contact page on your website, Jeannine. So aside from what's on the screen now, is there any other way that people can find you if they're looking for you?
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram too, but I think the best way to get in touch and communicate is through LinkedIn.
Perfect. And if you remember nothing else, Jeannine is on Smarketing Connect, so you can find her on Smarketing Connect as well. But Jeannine, thank you so much. It's been awesome, and I appreciate the time, and I appreciate everything you do, because God knows it's not my area of expertise. So I always seem to learn something every time I talk to you, and it's great. It's great to have you on the podcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
Bye, guys.
Bye.